Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into what is honestly a massive clash of military cultures. On one side, we have your traditional, slow-moving defense bureaucracies, right? And on the other, this explosive, hyper-fast ecosystem of drone innovation happening in Ukraine. It's a clash that's literally forcing the Pentagon and NATO to completely rethink the future of modern warfare. The battlefield has changed, and it has changed fast.
To instantly grasp the sheer scale of this paradigm shift, just think about this number for a second. Right now, 80 to 85% of all frontline targets in Ukraine are being engaged by drones. I mean, wow. The traditional literal walls of fire from artillery, they're being rapidly replaced by buzzing swarms of incredibly cheap drones. Early in the conflict, both sides were burning through tens of thousands of artillery shells every single day. But as those ammunition shortages kicked in, Ukraine had to innovate. Drones have stepped up to provide mass, they provide precision, and they do it for pennies on the dollar.
This transformation is so profound that the U.S. Secretary of Defense called it, quote, the biggest battlefield innovation in a generation. And honestly, the reason is just simple mathematics and lethal economics. We're talking about multi-million-dollar traditional platforms, tanks, artillery pieces, advanced air defense systems, suddenly finding themselves completely vulnerable to an $850 drone strike. The entire cost-benefit analysis of war has been flipped completely upside down.
All right, moving into Section 1, the drone warfare revolution.
So let's trace how we actually got here. How did warfare evolve from the slow deployment of exquisite, super expensive platforms to churning out highly capable disposable tech? Well, for decades, Western militaries focused on building a few highly survivable systems, but this conflict proved that mass absolutely matters. Out of sheer necessity, Ukraine scaled its domestic production to a staggering 10 million drones annually by 2025. They're essentially building a massive drone wall to counter their adversaries' numbers. And it's not just a couple of tech startups, it's a nationwide ecosystem. Engineers, soldiers, volunteers, all collaborating to push hardware from a basic concept to the front line in a matter of weeks. They've literally turned the whole country into a battlefield incubator.
Which brings us to Section 2. Ukraine's innovative drone ecosystem.
So, what does this massive arsenal actually look like in practice? Well, it's not just one type of drone, it's a deeply layered, highly specialized web operating across multiple domains. You've got incredible tactical variety here. Down at the tactical level, you have agile FPV or first-person view drones, engaging targets within a 40-kilometer range of the front lines. But then look further out. You have middle and deep strike drones traveling anywhere from 200 to 2,000 kilometers to hit strategic infrastructure. And of course, we cannot forget the maritime drones. These unmanned surface vessels have completely revolutionized naval warfare. They basically broke the naval blockade in the Black Sea and forced the bulk of the Russian fleet to retreat. Absolutely wild.
But here's the real game changer, how all this hardware is actually linked together. It's not just about flying robots, it's the software. Ukraine completely shifted from a manual, linear artillery targeting system to a cloud-based, AI-enabled distributed kill web. They're using systems like the Delta platform to fuse diverse sensor data in real time. We're talking machine learning algorithms that automatically detect and categorize thousands of pieces of equipment a week. That shrinks the strike time from over 20 minutes down to just a single minute. It's software-assisted combat operating at an unprecedented scale.
Okay, Section 3, the Pentagon's bureaucracy problem. Now here's where we hit a massive strategic roadblock. While Ukraine is out there iterating its technology in weeks to adapt to electronic warfare, the Pentagon and NATO are stuck fighting an incredibly rigid, deeply entrenched bureaucracy. The contrast is stark. The traditional U.S. acquisition system is practically built for the 20th century. It demands years of rigorous testing, endless layers of approvals, and massive contracts for expensive boutique platforms. That completely clashes with Ukraine's rapid fly-before-you-buy model. Ukraine decentralizes innovation and pushes the purchasing authority right down to the front lines, to the operators who actually know what they need today, not what some committee thought they needed 5 years ago.
The bottlenecks in the West are honestly severe. To put this in perspective, the U.S. currently produces fewer than 100,000 small drones a year. Remember the highly publicized Replicator initiative that was supposed to field thousands of autonomous systems? It fell drastically short, delivering only in the hundreds. Why? Well, simply put, you cannot buy what cannot be built at scale. In a market economy, capacity follows contracts. Without a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar demand signal from the government, private companies just aren't going to build the assembly lines. Add in a heavy reliance on East Asia for critical parts like motors and batteries, and you've got a massive strategic vulnerability. The Pentagon's drone revolution is really just beginning, and they are starting from a serious deficit.
This leads us right into Section 4, Unleashing U.S. Drone Dominance.
Realizing they are falling perilously behind, the Pentagon recently kicked off a massive policy shift to completely overhaul how they buy and use unmanned systems. They know they have to adapt right now. The recent Unleashing U.S. Military Drone Dominance memo is a direct response to the lessons from Ukraine. It outlines critical steps to slice through the red tape. Notably, it empowers O6 colonels to bypass the bureaucracy and buy and test drones directly for their units. But even more importantly, it reclassifies small drones. Instead of treating a quadcopter like a precious piece of property that requires a full-blown investigation if it crashes into a tree, they are now officially classified as easily replaceable consumables.
This totally embraces a vital modern military concept, attributable systems. Basically, this means Western militaries have to start treating small drones less like rare, multi-million-dollar fighter jets and way more like bullets. They are meant to be used, they're meant to be lost in the thousands, and they are meant to be replaced instantly, without breaking the bank. That is how you actually achieve mass on today's battlefield.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, Why NATO Needs Ukraine's Drone Revolution.
This brings us to a major geopolitical realization that is actively shifting the balance of power in Europe. To close this dangerous capability gap, NATO has to fundamentally change how it views Ukraine. The old narrative is just hopelessly outdated. Ukraine is no longer just an aid recipient hoping for Western know-how. They're a net security contributor. They are a literal drone superpower. Right now, Ukrainian instructors are already teaching NATO troops in Denmark and Poland how to defend against modern drone incursions. Their designs are combat-validated against the most intense electronic warfare on the planet. This makes Ukraine an absolute prime essential partner for defense co-production. We're even seeing Ukrainian drone manufacturers set up production lines as far away as Ohio to help supply the Pentagon.
As NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte clearly points out, Ukraine's expertise is just unparalleled. Licensing these battle-tested Ukrainian designs and pairing them with Western manufacturing scale and secure logistics, that is the ultimate force multiplier for the alliance. Think about it. NATO has the capital and the factories, but Ukraine actually has the blueprint for winning the drone war.
Which leaves us with this final, absolutely critical thought to consider. We know exactly what the future of warfare looks like. It's fast, it's cheap, it's autonomous, and it is happening right now. With global adversaries mass-producing AI-enabled weapons and building up their own drone walls, can the United States and NATO truly shed decades of slow, bureaucratic habit in time to secure the future? The blueprint for survival is written in the skies over Ukraine, but the West has to prove it has the agility to actually read it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.